Alright, so this video is an addition to the ones already recorded, just to show you the difference and similarities between your project and the one that I've recorded. So what's similar or identical, it's the technique to create those windows, window openings. So that's really straightforward. You just create some edge loops and then delete the faces where they are. You'll see it's very easy. So what you'll see in the video is exactly what you have to do, but you need to do it in different places, obviously. And where you create these edge loops is going to be based on what you see here. So this is my match cam, but you see it says 2D pan / zoom match cam. For yours should just say match cam like this. And there is a new feature, which is that 2D pan zoom, which allows you to do something very, very practical, because now the problem is we have this match cam, which is locked, which is great. And if we want to see exactly where those lines need to go, we have a problem because we can't get any closer. So how do we get any closer? Thanks to this, if I press this, now it says 2D pan zoom match cam, it means I have the option to do this. So this is not dollying in and out, this is zooming in 2D, and this is tracking in 2D. So the key for that is backslash, and the backslash key is between Shift and Z. So you can go backslash, right click and you zoom in and out, backslash, middle click and you track. Alright, but that's a 2D thing. It's independent from your camera. That's exactly what we want. So that allows you to, get closer and make sure that your lines are in the right place. Okay, so and once you're done with it, you can switch it off and then you've got a normal camera. However, there's no harm in leaving it on, but in any case, if this is locked, you're not going to mess it around. So if you use Alt and not backslash, even when you've got 2D pan zoom in, you can't, if it's locked, it's locked. So keep it that way. Okay, so let's have a quick look around. If we look at this ShotCam camera, as you can see, I've kept the top very simple. Let me show you the outliner to show you that also I'm keeping everything organized. So I've got a ground, I've got tower top, which is a group in which I've got the different elements here, and it's really rough. I'm not really bothered with the details so far. In fact, I need to go and check the real objects. I don't think there's any gap here, but it doesn't matter. It's good enough for what we need, right? So keep it that way for now. You can see that this is floating in space. It's not resting on anything, but that's fine because we don't see what's underneath. So I don't need to worry about that. And I don't know yet what that looks like. I don't know how deep it is. I would need to go and take pictures from the F floor. Okay, so keep this simple. You can see that I still haven't done anything special here. So if we compare it to what we see here, this is round. There is some stuff here. I haven't built that, so I don't expect you to do it. Feel free to think about how you could do that, but be clever if you want to be ahead of the game, and if you're going to be doing things like that. There are things you don't know yet, which you would benefit from knowing to save yourself time and do duplicate. Alright, so hold on that. What else? The windows. Actually, before the windows, this thing here, you don't have to do it, but it's not very hard. So this is not the whole staircase. As you can see, it's only what's underneath, what's supporting the steps. Okay. But I thought while I was at it, it would be useful to do it. I haven't got anything here and there because I don't know what they look like. I just know that here we've got some windows, we've got some windows here. The windows are not the same as the one I'm building in the videos, but you'll make some necessary adjustments. In fact, I've created these windows, by using some previous ones, the ones I made in another project, and just changing them a little bit. So you should be able to do the same thing. If you do the same ones that I do in the videos, you can quickly turn them into that. What else do I need to tell you about? The door. As you can see, I've got two pieces of geometry here, so maybe it's worth talking a little bit about that. So to do something like this, once I've got some geometry, so let's say that, which I could extrude, push in, and then what I've done is I have separated those two elements. So I'm selecting this face, and then I would go mesh, extract, and now we've got two separate pieces of geometry. Why? Because I want to have that round thing here, right? So if I want to have that round shape, I need more geometry. If I need more geometry, I need those edge loops. I didn't want these edge loops to continue everywhere. You know, they don't need to affect everything else. Because there's a seam here, a kind of hard edge, it's fine to have some separate geometry. Later on, I'll be talking about cleaning things up. Right now, there's a lot of geometry we don't need, right? All that stuff, we don't need that. I'm keeping it for now, because if I need to create some edge loops, let's say if for the rest of the project, I need to create a window here, it's just easy to go and create a window like this. But if I don't have the edge loops, so if I've lost the quad topology, then it makes it more difficult. So for now, I'm keeping all this geometry, which I know I don't need, just for the purpose of creating edge loops if necessary. Okay, so I could undo that. And this, which I don't need. And I'm just going to conclude by showing to you what this looks like with the material, with the plate projected on top of this object, not on top of the windows. The windows are what they are. So I can just press 6 here, and you can see the object with its texture on. And if we can look at it here as well, I'm pressing 6. And it's looking fine. Just so you know, I'm using Viewport 2.0 here as a renderer. So you've got the default renderer. If you use it, it looks like that, which is not great. If you use high quality rendering, it's going to look like this, which is not necessarily great. Viewport 2.0 looks great, but you have to configure it a little bit, right? So I do recommend using this. So the subtlety is in here. In the settings, what you have to do is to tell it to bake textures. So let me take a look. In fact, first of all, let me show you what texture I have. So if I go to material attributes, it's not a surface shader, it is a Lambert I've created, but it works in the same way here. So in the color channel, I've plugged in the same projection that you've created last week. And as you can see, the file is the file that I've given to you. So that PNG file, which is the plate with no distortion, which has been resized to HD 720. Alright, for this to look like that here, just in case you want to use the same file, you need to tell Viewport 2.0 in bake resolution for unsupported texture type. You need this to be high enough. I think by default it is 64, right? So if you switch on Viewport 2.0 by default, and if I do rebake all textures, it's going to take a bit of time. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing it, so it's quite happy with the previous one it has, but that's strange. I guess it's because now it takes it as a supported texture, but you can see when you do it yourself for the first time, it's not going to look good in Viewport 2.0, so just make sure that in there you switch this off to something like 1K 1024, rebake all textures, and then it will look just as it does on my screen. To finish, I just wanted to show you a couple of test renders at this stage. So this is one with the sun and sky system, and this is one which looks a little bit different without the sun and sky system, and I'm just going to show you how I created that one. It was created from the match cam, but you can create it from any. I'm going to create it from the shot cam, so I can place the camera wherever I want. So it's a little preview of what we'll talk about when we do lighting. So let's go to the render settings, and as you can see, there's no physical sun and sky, but I've got final gathering switched on. You don't need to know what it does, but you just switch it on. And for it to work, we need the environment of the camera to not be black. If I do a render right now, or actually I'm not sure what the environment color is, I'm selecting that camera, and then I'm going down to the background color, and by default for you, if you check, it should be black. If you render it, It's going to look like this, which is okay, but it doesn't look very good. So if you want it with Final Gather to look better, and without telling you what it does, you might guess. You can give this a color, for example, that kind of light blue. And I'm going to save this render and do another one. If I compare this to the previous one, we can see the world is looking brighter, but we can see overall, obviously the environment has a different color, but what's happening is that this environment is contributing to the overall illumination. So it behaves a little bit like if it was the sky. So it's like we have a sky which has a uniform color, which is that kind of blue. So you can also try and do a render without the texture on, and it should give you a nice natural look.